and Foundation launches phase 2 of its campaign for women's health. Who could be more perfect to be with us than Peggy Fleming? And she's hot off the Olympics. I'm sure a lot of you saw her on television and several different venues, and luckily she recovered from a little car crash with the vice president. But anyway, she's here and we're so happy to have her. So Lynn, will you please come up and tell us a little bit more about Peggy's background? This is Lynn Reed from the Hospital District Board.
As many of you know, Peggy Fleming is best known for her Olympic gold medal in figure skating at the 1968 Winter Olympic Games in Grenoble, France. I remember that. In 1981, she joined the ABC Sports broadcast team that had followed her skating career since she was a very young girl. At her 21 years as an on-air analyst with ABC Sports have taken her to both the Sarajevo and Calgary Olympics, and recently, Vancouver, and she continues to provide commentary for both national and international events. She starred in 5 television specials, one of which won 2 Emmy Awards. She's been invited to the White House by 4 different administrations, and in 1980, she was the very first skater to be invited to perform there. Peggy received the Babe Didrikson Zacharias Award and has been inducted into the U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame, the United States Figure Skating Association Hall of Fame, and the Women's Sports Foundation Hall of Fame. In 1998, on the 30th anniversary of her gold medal victory, Peggy was diagnosed with breast cancer. Faced with what she calls another Olympics, a life Olympics, Peggy underwent surgery and subsequent treatment, and today she is cancer-free. She has become an outspoken advocate for breast cancer awareness and the importance of early detection. Because her sisters were both affected by heart disease, she also speaks from personal experience on the impact of what complications from heart disease can have on women and their families. In 1999, Peggy was honored at the Sports Illustrated 20th Century Awards. She was one of only 7 athletes who were named Athletes Who Changed the Game. And this illustrious group included Arnold Palmer, Billie Jean King, and Jackie Robinson. In the midst of 4 decades of career changes, she has worked to maintain her priorities. The lifelong lessons Peggy learned as a young skater helped shape the image she presents today. She says she's grateful to have found a sport that strengthened not only her body, but her spirit as well. She is a true advocate for healthy living. Peggy's been married since 1970 to Dr. Greg Jenkins. They have 2 sons, Andy and Todd, 1 grandchild, and they live in the San Francisco Bay Area, just down the street away. And we have a video.
sport can grant you strength. A sport can inspire your spirit. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, it can do both.
Peggy Fleming. Her grace and elegance have defined a sport and inspired a generation. She won 5 national titles, 3 world titles, and in 1968, she won an Olympic gold medal. Peggy Fleming's career began with that gold medal, and it was just that, a beginning. The sport of figure skating continues to thrive, and she remains a national icon.
This is Peggy Fleming, 15 years old, from Pasadena, California. The big surprise of this championship so far, she has never participated in the National Senior Championship at all. She never won a national novice title or a national junior title. But she's in 3rd place at the end of the school figures, and reputedly, her free skating is the best part of her repertoire. You're going to hear a lot more about Peggy Fleming of California.
Thank you.
Eventually, they invited her onto their announce table.
I'm really looking forward to joining you and Dick and covering figure skating for many years to come.
Well, look, we go back a long time as a commentary team. I first interviewed you when you were 15 years old.
That's true.
Our colleague Peggy Fleming has had a lot to do with it. Hard work, a lot of talent, rare beauty.
The beauty is Peggy Fleming. Dick Button, who I guess is a beauty in his own right.
Which now, Peggy, brings us to Tara Lipinski. We learned 2 years ago that when she is down, she does not stay down for long.
She certainly doesn't, Terry. Tara Lipinski may be in 4th place, but for those 3 ladies ahead of her, that's like having a fighter jet on your tail.
The most important part of Peggy Fleming's life has always been her family, her husband, and her 2 sons. She has met the challenge of balancing a family life and a career with the same fierce determination she brought to the Olympics.
And we have this word regarding a legend in the sport of figure skating. Peggy Fleming underwent breast cancer surgery Tuesday in California, we have learned. And that was just 1 day before the 30th anniversary of her winning the gold medal in Grenoble.
And former Olympic gold medal winner Peggy Fleming this morning is recovering from breast cancer surgery.
Now former Olympic gold medalist Peggy Fleming is back in the spotlight. Like celebrities Linda McCartney, Carly Simon, and Diane Carroll, Peggy Fleming this year became a victim of breast cancer.
With her family by her side, Peggy once again triumphed, and she is bringing the message of breast cancer awareness to the nation.
Cancer is so different today, and it's so much more curable. And the big key thing is to find it early.
Was yours caught early enough?
Yes.
Are you considered cured?
Yes. And I've had...
But what Peggy Fleming will always be most identified with is the grace and beauty of movement on ice.
It's now my pleasure to introduce to you Peggy Fleming.
I am happy to be here at Ironstone Vineyards to talk about health. I would also, that sounds familiar.
A sport can inspire your spirit, and sometimes
Oh, I've seen that so many times. But I'd also like to thank the Mark Twain St. Joseph's Hospital for all that they do for the health of this community. You know, I've been an athlete all my life, and obviously my health has been very important to me. But when I was diagnosed with breast cancer in '98, suddenly the focus had to shift from my career to my health. Because let's face it, if we don't have our health, we can't have a career. And I want to encourage all of you to really take charge of your health, really participate, and it is so important that we don't procrastinate about getting our annual checkups every year. You know, eat right, exercise, know your cholesterol numbers, know your family's health history, and know what your risk factors are. You know, health issues are really important to every one of us. I know this past February, just like a few days ago, you know, February is a very memorable month for me. I know a lot of you were probably watching the Olympic Games from Vancouver. You know, the Olympics is the ultimate stage for these athletes on the biggest stage in the world. I was fortunate that I was invited to go up there and watch the Olympics. I wasn't working as a commentator. I was invited by the White House to join Vice President Biden and his wife Jill and their family to watch the Olympics. And you know, I did get to be on the biggest stage at the opening ceremonies for just a moment. We were ushered into these seats and the opening ceremonies had already started, and you know, I wasn't sure where we were supposed to be seated. And the aides from the White House were ushering Mike Ruzioni and Vanetta Flowers and I to this area. So we walked in there, and you know, I'm watching the opening ceremonies. I'm like going, wow, I don't want to miss anything, and they'll figure out where our seats are. And as I was watching the big screen, they're introducing the president of the IOC, and I'm like clapping, oh great! And then I look up there and I think, gosh, that looks like me. And I went, oh. I saw myself move, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I am right behind the camera. I got to be there, but we did get ushered to some other seats. And the Bidens weren't even allowed to sit there. That's just for presidents of different countries and the IRC members. But we got a window into it. It was a great seat, too. But I did enjoy watching the games, and the athletes did not disappoint us. I got to be there to watch Shaun White in the halfpipe, and he was just awesome. He jumps about 10 feet higher than the second place guys, and it makes it look so easy. Also, Lindsey Vonn, I mean, she really came through with her All-American good looks, and she really handled grace under pressure, and she was wonderful. And Bodie Miller, who I think tamed his style and talent to be the ultimate champion. And Apollo Ono, he's just amazing. Amazing, and lucky too. There's a part of being a good athlete, you have to be lucky as well. And of course, my favorite is figure skating. And I think we came through at every discipline, the dance, the men's, the pairs, and the ladies event with brilliant performances on so many different levels. You know, the Olympics are a great platform for sports, but more importantly, they inspire the athlete in all of us. When I won in 1968 at the Olympics in Grenoble, that changed my life forever. And I've learned that life has a way of taking us all on a journey. And I'd like to share with you part of my journey and the lessons that I've learned from all of those experiences. You know, back in '68, when I stood on the podium, I wasn't thinking about career opportunities in the future. And when they played the national anthem, my mind wasn't on endorsement deals and opportunities didn't even exist back in the late 60s. My thoughts were on my family and my coach and my friends that helped support me to be able to achieve this incredible dream. And the relief that I had after it was all over was just enormous, because I felt I didn't want to let anyone down. And the last thing on my mind at that moment was sports as a lifelong career. You know, I wasn't born with confidence and perspective. I learned many life lessons along the way. I definitely learned a lot from my skating career. I learned it from my marriage, from parenting, and also my experience with breast cancer. Because in the beginning, I was a real shy little girl. I would be afraid to even raise my hand in class. And I was raised in a family of 4 girls. I was number 2. And we had a very simple existence. My father was a newspaper pressman. And my parents introduced all of us girls to art, sports, music, and dance. And it wasn't until my dad took us to the ice skating rink. And I remember stepping on the ice, and it was magic to me. It was so smooth and effortless. And I had done all these other sports. I'd played the violin for years. And it just had all qualities that I really, really liked. So I kept on taking lessons. And, you know, that gave me some confidence in myself. And I ended up, you know, competing in my first competition when I was 9 years old at Sutro's Baths. And I loved going there because it was such a cool place to go. I went out there, and I'd never seen a competition before, and I went out and skated, and I ended up winning. And I thought, wow, this is easy, this is fun, I'm going to stay with this. And that competition qualified me for a Pacific Coast regional competition in Los Angeles 2 weeks later. And I went out there and skated with the same attitude, but a different outcome. I ended up coming in dead last. And I was a little embarrassed and humiliated. But here I had, in the first month of my competitive career, I had the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. So it sort of set the stage of my competitive outlook, and I think it lit my competitive fire. I kept on skating, and at the age of 12 years old, we had a terrible disaster in the skating community. In 1961, we lost our entire world figure skating team. All of our coaches in the country were killed in this plane crash on their way to the World Championships. My coach was on that flight, and it was devastating, you know, to lose your coach, but also all of your role models. And the biggest loss was really all of the top coaches in the country. So it took figure skating a long time to get back up to the world-class level. And I didn't have any role models to really look to at 12 years old. So I really reached inside myself of my music background, my dance background, and sports background to come up with a style that, you know, I felt was really me, and I could be successful at it. Well, in 1964, I was 15 years old, and I entered my very first senior national competition. I had come in second in novice and third in the juniors, and this was my first experience at the senior level, and that's what you see me commentate on at ABC. It's just the senior level. I went in there just barely qualifying to compete, and I shocked the world and myself by winning the competition. I came in third in the school figures and then won the free skate. And it wasn't only the national championship that year, it was the Olympic trials. So I found myself going to Innsbruck, Austria as part of the Olympic team. Well, this is cool. I'd never really been out of California very much. I didn't have a warm coat. I didn't have a passport. I'd never been to Europe before. I'd never seen world-class skating. And here I was marching in the opening parade in the Coliseum, in the front line of the American team, because I was one of the youngest and shortest, so I got a great view. And I got to feel very proud to be a part of the team. And it was a good Olympics for me. I stayed in the Olympic Village, and actually that was one of the first times I've really ever been away from my mother at that point. I had a lot of fun at the village and getting to meet all of the other athletes that do other sports, but the flu was going around the village and I ended up getting sick. So it was really difficult to still compete, but I was determined that I would do the free skate, and I ended up doing a decent performance and came in 6th place. And I think that was a very good showing for my first international competition. But the lesson I learned, I think at that Olympics, was to give myself some confidence and gave me a perspective of what competition was all about. Well, the next 4 years, there were a lot of changes that went on in my life. Some added a lot of stability, and some tore my life apart. We moved our entire family from California to Colorado Springs so that I could take from this new up-and-coming coach from Italy named Carlo Fassi. I would meet my future husband Greg there, and I would also win my very first world championship there. We competed in Davos, Switzerland. I was 17. I won my very first world championship, but it was a short-lived victory because 3 weeks after I won, my father died of a heart attack at the age of 41 years old. And it left my mom with 4 girls to raise, no job, and my expensive sport. And I just really respected my mother and learned a lot from my mother of the strength and how she really kept the family together, kept me skating. I think I learned a lesson in strength. I also learned how to cry, but I also learned not to crumble. I feel very fortunate that I had 2 Olympic experiences, one at 15 and another one at 19 years old. And they were totally different experiences. In 1964, I had no pressure on me. I just enjoyed the Olympics. However, in '68, I felt like I had the pressure of the world on my shoulders. I went in as 2-time world champion. I was a favorite to win, and all the press was, saying, "Oh, she's got it." But I'm the one that has to go out there and actually do it. I didn't stay in the Olympic Village very much because I didn't want to risk getting sick. I didn't march in the opening parade. I didn't want to pull muscle or, something happening. So I really focused on doing the best job that I could and really focus on that. I felt like I had the weight of the world on me. My mom made my dress that I wore at the Olympics in Grenoble. It was chartreuse green, and she put a lot of thought into picking that particular color. She thought, she did some research about the town of Grenoble, and she learned that there was a little mountain village where they made this chartreuse liqueur, and she thought if I wore the color chartreuse that it would endear me to the French people. Well, I think it went over their head, and mine too. But the green color did bring me good luck because of my Irish heritage. So she got one of those things right. I remember going out for the free skate, and when they call your name, you got to show up. That's the first part. But you stand there, to take your position after the applause kind of cools down. Then there's like this silence, and then sheer terror, like shoots through you, and you just go, "What on earth have I done? Why am I doing this to myself?" And then my music started, and it was like a friend came out and took my hand and really carried me through that performance. Because when you get nervous, I think it's a human reaction that we stiffen up and, freak out a little bit. But I think all those hours of practicing that number over and over again, muscle memory comes into play when you get that nervous. And it certainly came into play that afternoon. And it was an incredible feeling to finish that program. I was kind of numb through the whole thing. And it wasn't until I saw the look on my coach's face and my mom's did I know that I had won, and pressure was finally off. And I just started crying because it was just so intense. But, I didn't let anybody down, didn't let myself down, and that's a feeling of accomplishment that has stayed with me the rest of my life. And I know you've seen people on the podium when they, you know, the old cliches about, you know, when they raise the flag in your honor and they play the national anthem and your life flashes before you. Well, it's all true. It's all true. It's very cool, and I feel so lucky to have had that happen to me. But I think the lesson that I learned there was a lesson to focus under extraordinary pressure. You know, after the Olympics, all I wanted to do was to go home, and I thought I'd done my job. But the next day, it was a whole new cycle and an unexpected impact. Suddenly, I had to live up to the image of Olympic champion. And I woke up that next morning, I had a photo shoot for the cover of Sports Illustrated. So I had to get back in my green dress and take to the ice. And it was a different feeling. And you know, there were so many things happening after I won. There were a lot more opportunities and offers coming my way because of the live television coverage. And you know, they were just coming to my mom and me. It was a much simpler time back there in the 60s. Today, athletes have agents and managers and PR companies and team leaders helping, you know, keep all of this at bay. But it was, back then, it was just my mom and me. And, you know, people were coming up with, you know, these offers, endorsement deals and television contracts and ice volleys and ice capades tours, and we were just like, whoa. It's a very different time today. Sports is a huge, huge industry. And even the costume that my mom made me in '68, the green dress with the rhinestone collars, it cost about $20 for her to make that. And compared to like Nancy Kerrigan's dress she wore in the '94 Olympics in Lillehammer, it was designed by Vera Wang, and it cost $13,000. So that's a real exception, but most of the costumes that you see are at least $5,000, and you know, it's just taken on a life of its own. But that Olympic title made a huge impact on my life. My very first job that we selected to do was an NBC hour TV special of my very own. I had never even babysat before, and here I am doing an hour television special. And instead of skating in arenas and places like that, I was skating at the MGM studio lots in Hollywood. And instead of my mom making my clothes, but they had Bob Mackie making my clothes. And I mean, it was just, I felt like a movie star. It was so cool. And I'll never forget, one of the costumes Bob made for me was, the hit movie back then was Camelot. So I skated to that music, and I was supposed to be Guinevere, and he made this beautiful pink chiffon dress to the floor and a matching cape, and it was just beautiful. And I got to run down the steps, the actual steps that Guinevere ran down in the movie. It was like really cool. But after I finished that television special, I went on to tour with the Ice Volleys for 7 months out of the year, doing 10 shows a week. And boy, that built a lot of character. It's not as glamorous as it looks, but it was sure a way to test yourself and prioritize your energy and try to get that Olympic performance every night. Well, within a few years, I got married to Greg. I was 21 years old, and now juggling my career and our marriage, that was a little hard to do. He was a senior in medical school, and you know, we had our goals set for our careers, and we really supported that all along. But we did find out that life is really an attitude. We could have felt very sorry for ourselves because we hardly saw each other on our first year. But there were a lot of adjustments, not only for Greg, but our entire family. And I remember inviting my grandfather to the ice show that first year. And our finale number was a Hawaiian number, and we all dressed up in these Hawaiian outfits, and they brought in fresh flower leis to give to the front row. after the finale. So I thought, well, I'll just sit my grandfather right in the front row, and I'll come over the bank boards. You're supposed to shake the hands of people, and I ended up giving him my flowers and giving him a big hug, and then you're supposed to step back with the cast and wave to the crowd, and then they turn the lights out. Well, my grandfather never sat down, and he stayed in the spotlight and waved to the crowd. The cast is looking at me like, what's he doing? I don't know. He didn't know what to do. He's just proud. It was cute. Got a good applause. I guess he knew how to do that. I ended up the next 11 years, our family grew. We have 2 boys, and I did 4 more television specials, a lot more endorsements, and a lot more performing. And my life gets very busy sometimes, and sometimes it kind of gets out of control. And back then, I was, I get asked for memorabilia to loan to museums and different organizations, and I try to keep everything kind of organized. I have a file. And one summer, I was trying to clean out the attic with all my old costumes, and I was looking for the pink dress that Bob McKee made for my first television special, and I'm like, well, I can't find it in the closet. I mean, it would stick out because it was so big. And the phone rang, and I don't know, I got a little distracted from the project, actually for a few years. And it wasn't until a few years later, our older son was like 9 or 10 years old, and my husband was going to a medical meeting back in Washington, D.C. And I thought, well, that would be a good time to bring Andy, and we could go be with, Greg at the meeting, and he could go to the meeting, and we could go to the museums. So we're walking around one of the Smithsonian museums, and I turn the corner, and there's my pink costume. I'm going, huh, that's where it is. It looks good, it's in class, it's safe, and I know where it is now. So it's kind of crazy how my life goes. But I think the lesson to learn how to balance it all and take it in stride is something that I think a lot of you have to do as well. But I'm still trying to perfect it, and I'm very grateful for all the experiences that I've had. I know most of you are used to watching me work with a colleague that's a little bald and sometimes has a beard, is a little outspoken. Well, our relationship goes back 46 years, back to the first national championship. Dick Button was the commentator back then. And actually, ABC Sports has been the network that has covered that event and has covered my entire competition years. In 1981, they asked me to join their on-air team. Ruben Arledge called my agent and asked me if I would like to join the team, and I was honored. I never thought of being a commentator, but there's no training involved. They just had to take the microphone. So I just took it in stride and was myself. I feel lucky that I have learned from the very best. I've learned from Jim McKay and Al Michaels and Chris Schinkel, and of course Dick Button. And they are like my second family to me. I've spent many, many years with them. I worked 28 years with Dick Button on ABC. And I know a lot of you have kind of watched me grow up on television, and I've shared my public life with a lot of you. And I've always tried to keep my private life private. But suddenly in '98, you were given a window into my personal life when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I knew that it was going to be a huge announcement because the timing was right when the Nagano Olympics had just started. I wanted to make sure that the facts came out correctly in the news, what my diagnosis was, what my treatment plan was going to be, but most importantly, what my attitude was going to be. I ended up finding this lump myself. I wasn't concerned. I was doing the national championships for ABC, and I was tired, and I had just stretched, and before I got dressed, and I saw this lump. But I wasn't concerned because I had just had a mammogram 5 months earlier and a checkup, and I thought, oh, it's probably nothing, it's probably pulled muscle. So I kept working and ended up going to Italy to do the European Championships, but the lump was still there. And I kind of thought, well, that's odd. And I thought for my peace of mind, I would just go in and get it checked out, and I thought it would be a real quick visit. Well, it ended up being a whole day of one doctor after another, and then a needle biopsy, and then a few days later I was set to go in and do a biopsy. And things were looking sort of good up to then, and they took a frozen section. And a week later, they got the results, and that's when things got a little more scary. And I think that's when you're waiting for those results that it was malignant. So I ended up having to go in and having the second surgery. I had a lumpectomy and to get out more of the tissue, and there were no involvement of the lymph nodes. That all came back clear, so I ended up having 6 weeks of radiation. But I feel like I had such a good team of people helping me through this very difficult time. It's very scary getting that diagnosis of cancer, but I was told I had a very curable kind. I had a 1 centimeter tubular carcinoma with a clear zone around it. And one of my doctors even said, Peggy, if you're going to have breast cancer, you have the best one. And so I went with that attitude, and I did everything that I could to be a really good patient, and had the attitude of, I'm going to make this, tolerable. And my message to people is early detection. And I think that is the most important thing that we can do for ourselves. During the radiation, I ended up making such great friends with people that were going through, tougher treatments than I was, and their attitude was just so up and positive that I said, I want to be like them. And I have a friend in figure skating that's gone through cancer as well, Scott Hamilton, and we shared our thoughts on this disease, and I think we faced it the same way. I mean, we competed with cancer, and I think anytime you are a competitor, you test your heart, you test your determination, and you test yourself. But I honestly feel that every challenge really is a gift. You learn so much about yourself, and you learn you're stronger than you think you are. But I think all those past lessons, for me to learn how to focus and find my strength and my confidence helped me through the cancer experience. Cancer is a very humbling disease. It doesn't care who you are. But what I've also learned that cancer is not necessarily a death sentence. Early detection is really the key thing. And if you do your regular checkups, your mammograms, and your self-exam, those are the 3 tools that we can use. And you can't just do one of them or 2 of them, you have to do all 3. And I think that is a powerful message to keep getting out to people. I think as we age, we really have to be proactive on all fronts. I think none of us wants to be a statistic. And what I tell people when they're first diagnosed is take 1 step at a time. Educate yourself, read every article that you can, ask questions, get a second opinion, weigh your options so that you're comfortable with your treatment plan, and take charge of your health and really participate in every decision. And the most important message is really to make time to take care of yourself. I know that balancing life can be very, very difficult, and I know many of you are juggling lives that get complicated as well. And speaking of readjusting, my husband and I, we've been married for 40 years. We have 2 grown sons, and our oldest son, Andy, and his wife, Jamaica, have actually 3 boys. They're 11, 6, and 4. And our other son, Todd, is in the 2nd year at St. Mary's in Moraga. Greg retired from his dermatology practice a few years ago, and he is now a full-time winemaker, so it's really appropriate. Well, we planted a vineyard, a Chardonnay vineyard 11 years ago. We had an extra acre, and we thought that would just be beautiful. And I don't know, one thing has kind of led to another. 6 years ago, we became a bonded winery, Fleming Jenkins Wines. We make 5 varietals. We do the Chardonnay from our property. We do 2 Syrahs and a Cab blend, and we also do a rosé, and we named it Victory's Rosé. And essentially $2 of every bottle sold goes to breast cancer research. And over those past 6 years, we have donated over $35,000 to the cause to find a cure. And I think that we can all do a little difference. You know, our new career together, this is new for us to have a job together. It started out as a landscaping project, but now we have landscaping we can drink. So it's not all bad. You know, I get asked a lot about what the formula is to have a successful life and be healthy and to have a successful career. And I always tell people, you know, 3 points. You really have to surround yourself with good people and a good team that inspire you. And number 2, you've got to be honest with yourself, your successes and your failures. And number 3, there's no substitute for good old-fashioned hard work and some common sense. You know, I had no idea at 15 that I was learning lessons that would carry me through whatever life would throw in my path. Those simple tools, those simple elements were the tools that really changed my life forever. I didn't get to my cancer experience by myself or my Olympic experience by myself. I surrounded myself with a good team of people, wonderful friends and family that supported me. And I think looking back at all the challenges, I realized that the good times gave me confidence, but the bad times gave me strength. I think when you really participate in life and when you really embrace each challenge as an opportunity, not a dead end, I think anything is possible. And I know all of you have different stories to share with all of you, and I'm glad that you listened to my stories today, and I'm glad that you came out on this very rainy day. It's kind of cozy in here. And I wish you all good health, and hope to have our paths cross sometimes. Thank you very much for coming. Questions, we can just talk if you would like. Can answer most anything. So this is a great place. I can hear the rain on this. It's kind of cool. Yes.
I don't know if this is too personal to ask, but did you consider a mastectomy versus a lumpectomy?
No, I think because of the kind of tumor that I had, it was a clear zone. It was really early. It was a very slow-growing tumor. And cancer, you know, every cancer is different. So you can't really compare yours with somebody else's because there's so many other dynamics that go into what kind of cancer you have. So I followed the lead of my physicians, and we've lived in the area for 31 years, and we're sort of in the industry. So we knew a lot of the physicians and doctors around our area. So I felt like I was in really good hands. And so I have a successful story to share, and just that message of early detection is really the best message that we can pass on. Yes?
Are you still skating?
I still skate recreationally, skate with the grandkids. I do, you know, we did a skating party for our wine club members, and that was really fun. Because I think you get to know people when you either travel with them or play games with them. So I think that was a good opportunity to get to know our wine club members on a friendly, you know, playing field. But I was a little better than everybody else. I actually practiced the day before and I got better. I haven't really skated all that much. But practice really pays off. And getting your skate
for your support of breast cancer. I felt here after you did, and you were my mentor through it. Just thinking, she can do this, I can too, and the support that you give to other women.
Oh, thank you. So there is a special bond we will always have.
Yes.
And we've got to be cheerleaders for each other now and encourage people to really participate in their health. It's much more fun to be healthy as you get older. So I want to stay in shape so I can do anything I want. Yes?
What is your exercise program?
I work out with a trainer, so I do like 4 days a week of cardio, whether it's on the elliptical or the treadmill, or I run once in a while, but I do weight training as well, and I watch what I eat, because really 85% of your exercise is what you eat. So you can exercise till the cows come home, but if you're not eating right, and the right timing of when you eat makes a huge difference. So I think I've clicked it in, and it gives you more energy too. And I think keeping yourself flexible and fit as you get older, I think that you're less likely to get injured because you're strong all over, and the posture, all those things kind of add up. And it's so important. I think it's kind of the fountain of youth, exercise. I really do. It makes your skin look better. Everything just feels better. So let's go out and run in the rain. You're gonna get sweaty anyway. So that's not an excuse. Yes.
I would just, as a member of the Mark Twain Board, I would like to thank you for taking the minutes out of your busy schedule to tell your story to us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It was really cool, I have to tell you, being a part of the presidential delegation team was, wow, so cool. I got to know Joe Biden and Jill really well. We hung out for at least 3 days with their whole family, their grandkids, and we went to have burgers in some restaurant at Whistler. And it was just like you went out with some just normal friends. Of course, they had the Secret Service. You didn't feel it. And it was just so nice to get to know somebody like that so well. So we got treated very well. But I travel, I don't know if you've heard about the motorcade accident. Yeah, motorcades, actually my husband came up with a new sport for the Olympics. Maybe bumper cars might be. But it was quite an experience being in the motorcade because you move so fast. I didn't realize it. And all those cars are flown in. They're all bulletproof, and I mean, they're incredible cars, and they're very heavy. And that's when we had the accident, we got hit from behind by one of the motorcade cars. So it wasn't like a normal car. It was like, whoa. It was like a tank. But they took really good care of us. They travel with a doctor and a nurse in the motorcade. So they wouldn't let us even get out of the car before the doctor came in and checked us all out. Mike Ruzioni, Vanetta Flowers, one Secret Service man, and 2 people from the White House were in the car with us. So everyone, just kind of stayed put until they checked us out, and they sent Vanetta and I to the hospital just to have a more thorough checkout. And she bumped her head, and I really didn't. I just sort of charred it. But I think anytime you have any kind of head injury, it's best to get it checked out and give yourself peace of mind. But it was a very interesting experience. And they travel real close together. That's what makes it so dangerous for driving. Because when somebody brakes, you got to brake really fast. So it was fun. Yes?
Where is your original little green dress?
It's in our tasting room. You'll have to come down on Main Street and look at us. And my mom made that costume, and it reminds me of all the colors we saw driving up with the daffodils. Yeah. It's that fresh, it's that yellow, green. And I finally got it, really, why my mom chose the color, because February is when all that stuff starts popping back to life. It's like the new growth on the tree. It's that fresh, fresh green. And I just love it now. And
It only took me 42 years to figure it out. But Mom, she was really thinking it through. Yes. Yes, you.
What cancer center did you work with in your Operation Recovery?
I was at the Good Sam Cancer Center. It was right down the street from my husband's office.
In Los Gatos?
In Los Gatos.
Oh.
So it was right past the school. I dropped my little boy off at school, then I'd go for my treatments and go for a run with my friends. So it was really convenient. It was relatively new. So I think that helped the recovery because the place was so beautiful and they had nice new robes. They were really very nice. So that was inspiring to go there. The people were cheerful and it was easy parking.
Great.
Yes.
How did Mark Twain Hospital get you to come out and participate in this?
I think, let's see, I think they called the TC room. And I think just got the word to me, and I know Ironstone Winery. We were here this summer watching the blues, and I feel real comfortable here. And I thought, well, I could do that because this is a beautiful part of California. And I thought, well, I'll just come back and be my cheerleader. I was an audience role before, now cheerleader. So I'm happy to do it. What else is everybody doing today? I'm driving home. That's my adventure. Yes.
If you had stayed in California, what high school would you have graduated from?
Probably Pasadena. We were living in Pasadena.
I think I was in your class.
Really? I wasn't there very often.
You left partway through.
Yes, and then we moved to Colorado. I went to Cheyenne Mountain High School, and then went to Colorado College.
They closed that Pasadena ice skating rink and it became the Postal
Right, it was
Sorting Center.
Yeah, I lived on Marengo Street, and we used to walk up to Colorado Boulevard to see the Rose Parade. And it was a real neat part of the Los Angeles area. It wasn't like LA. It was like a whole different environment out in Pasadena. Yeah, very special. Well, how cool. We'll have to talk. You just never know where our paths cross. Yes, you have another question.
Did you live in Berkeley? I'd heard you practice at Berkeley Iceland.
I did. We lived in Walnut Creek, but my mom drove me to the rink in Berkeley, and that's a lot of great memories there. And the building is still standing, and they're trying to make it a historic building.
Yes,
So
yes.
that they will save it. So I hope that happens.
I grew up in Berkeley, stayed at the same place.
Yeah,
Love it.
it's beautiful. So a lot of good memories. Yes.
Just a question. We have a 12-year-old son that's a competitive skier, and he wants to make it to the Olympics more than anything. When did you know for you that you could do it? I mean, I'm sure probably skating there was a moment that you knew that you could do this.
Well, I think when I got to be about 14, 15, I mean, making the Olympic team was really a boost.
Yes.
But, to see world class. I mean, now kids grow up watching television and they can see what world class looks like. But seeing it with your own eyes is really different than the feeling that a kid has. And it gets in deeper. And, but you've got to live right near the slopes because he probably needs to do that after school. I did it before school and after school, like 6 days a week. But I loved it. That's what everybody else did, and so it wasn't, I didn't feel like it was grueling. I mean, I got to meet my friends, and they're working out just as much as I am. And of course, I wanted to win every practice.
Right.
So, so you just got to follow them and follow their, their bright light that they have inside, their vision, because they'll sort of tell you what to do. Well, good luck. Yes.
The Olympics currently are really pointing to the spins and the turns and the jumps.
In figure skating.
And figure skating. Is that good or not?
It's a part of it, and I think, our new
judging system in figure skating has changed over the years. It's not the perfect 6-0 mark. And now it's just the high score. So now you get points for everything you do. Every step, every turn, and every jump it has a point. And you can either, if you land it really well, you can get bonus points, or if you don't land it very well, you get your points taken away. So I think that it worked this time. I think in the men's event at Getting Plashenko, he did a quad jump. Not super well. I mean, it was kind of a sloppy landing, but he landed it on one foot. So he thought that he should have won because he did the most difficult jump. But that jump really, is only awarded a certain amount of points. And Evan Lysacek did a complete program that had all the jumps, triple combinations, and all the other places that he could add up points. And that's how he ended up winning, because he had the whole program. Evgeny had just the big jump, and everything else was a little bit more sloppy. So I thought, it was bad sportsmanship. I don't think we would have seen Michelle Kwan. Michelle helped our sport for so many years, and now Evan Lysacek he is the nicest guy, and is really taking this all in stride. And our dance team, Davis and White, it was like watching a romantic movie, wasn't it? It was like, and the Canadian team, they were just like movie star quality, and their choice of music, costumes, and choreography were just in such good taste. I think skating is going to make a comeback. Maybe not at the level right now of snowboarding, but I don't think we'll ever make X Games. But we're a different sport. It's a little bit of glamour and sport mixed, and it's always a sought-after ticket at the Olympics. But it's a great showcase to see all of the sports, and we saw some great competitors in all of the disciplines. It's amazing. Yes, did you have a question?
When you were at the Olympics were truly an amateur event.
Yes.
And now there are so many professionals. How do you feel about the amateur versus professionalism?
I don't know, because it's not really fair. Because, the people that don't have all the sponsors and all of that support, they're dealing with what they can afford, and they're competing against a professional who has the best of the business helping them. So I don't know if that's fair, but I think when you're a competitor, you just take it in stride and just go for it. And it seems to be getting, really good champions out of all the sports. So I don't know, but it's got to have some balancing somewhere. I did it. Any other questions?